Please put the guns down.
Put the guns down.
That's Christine Weck here on the morning shift. Little help from Spike Rebel on keyboards and background vocals, and Paul Parker laying the groove down on the bass. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. That tune is called Unity.
It's called Unity, Put the Guns Down.
Unity, Put the Guns Down. You wrote it.
Yes.
All right. How did it come about?
It just came up. Spike and I create a lot of work together, and it was just really time for a message like this. And as we look around in Chicago, it gets hot in the summer, and we know that violence goes up. So we decided it was time to put out this single, Unity, Put the Guns Down, and it's coming out Friday, July 4th. Friday,
July 4th. And you know what? I want to talk a little bit about, you're a classically trained vocalist.
Yes.
Usually don't see people who are singing opera getting into activism. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's really been this journey that I've been on. And for a while, I was just doing classical. But at the same time, I was composing. I went to the Merit School of Music here in Chicago growing up. And it was time to really marry the two and bring the classical with the neo soul and really stand for something. And I have a lot to say as an individual. I'm always working with children. So it was just time to stand for something in my music.
Very cool. Very cool. Now talk about this whole classically trained vocalist thing. I mean, did you always have in mind, even as a kid, that's the kind of singing you wanted to do?
Yes, I did. My dad, he played classical radio stations, and I listened to a lot of classical music, as well as Nina Simone. He always had that going. And I started taking piano at 8, teaching piano at 12, music composition, clarinet, violin. So I've been doing classical music and opera pretty much all my life.
And I'm fascinated by people who are able to learn to sing in multiple languages. Now, do you learn the language or do you learn to sing the language?
A little bit of both. In college, I went to Lawrence University. We took diction classes, so we knew how to speak. But then I also traveled to Vienna, Austria to really learn German more, because that was the hardest language for me, so I knew I had to really dive in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have a composer, whose repertoire speaks to you or works with your voice or your sensibilities more than others?
Well, for classical music, I really like the works of Florence Price. She was an African-American female composer in the early 1900s. And also, I really do enjoy singing some of Richard Danielpour's work. He did Margaret Garner, and I sang there at the Copeland House in New York.
Interesting, interesting. So wait, you got your master's in music in Vienna, is that correct? No.
Well, I got my master's in music at Manhattan School of Music.
Okay.
After I went to Vienna for a year.
So what brought you to Vienna? I mean, what's that like?
I love Vienna. I would love to go back. It's a really great place. I studied abroad there in college, and I made some connections. I worked there. I took piano. And so when I graduated, before I went to grad school, I wanted to take a year there, and it was just perfect.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of sort of sitting in a cafe early in the morning, sipping tiny cups of very, very tasty coffee. Now,
yes.
You also paint and do multimedia. I sort of want to talk about you as a complete artist in just a bit, but can we hear another tune?
Yes, I would love to bring you Heavy Heart. Here's Heavy Heart.
Found a little
It's the morning shift here on WBEZ. Jason Mark sitting in this morning for Tony Sarabia. Christine Wack has gone around the world and back, meaning she's here in Chicago, writing, performing, creating. Now, I got to admit, I did not know much about her, but Tony and I trust each other's taste in music and in guests. So when he said, we have got to have her on, well, you know, the rest, of course, is history. Christine is here with Spike Rebel on keyboards and vocals, Paul Parker on the bass. We'll find out more about Christine and her music and her mission. But first, let's start off with a tune.
So, that's kind of where I was going, extending upon the harmonica player from an album.
Jason Mark sitting in this morning.
If you can see that.